Come join our merry dance to the rhythm of goodbye. Farewell the jewel crown, farewell the velvet gown. Watch it all come tumbling down. Goodbye to the crown. Goodbye to the crown. Goodbye to the king of nothing really. Wave of a hand and a life of Riley. Pot Nazi, Pot King Billy. Goodbye to the crown. Goodbye to the dear old mum, mummified on gin and rum. Smile and wave and just play dumb. Goodbye to the crown. Farewell the jewel crown, farewell the velvet gown. Watch it all come tumbling down. Goodbye to the crown. Goodbye to the crown.
Remember, remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. It's good to have you with us. I'm Samson Sees. You're watching The Monarchy. Well, as you can see, the past week did include Guy Fawkes Day, which marks a historic event of a man who attempted to blast the Houses of Parliament into oblivion back in 1605. It appears that Guy Fawkes was seeking an alternative Britain, but as it goes, Parliament does remain present and active on this very day. So what we are doing is giving you the alternative stories about the UK, along with its divisive Parliament. Let's begin. A Bahraini prince who is accused of torturing protesters during the national uprising has returned to London, days after a High Court ruling stripped him of immunity from prosecution in Britain. Human rights activists have accused the government of providing a covert guarantee of immunity to Prince Nasser Al Khalifa, the son of King Hamad, a long-standing British ally.
After this Bahraini precedent, will leaders from Egypt, Israel, and some African countries have to think twice before travelling to London? This is the question many asked after the High Court in the UK stripped Bahrain's Prince Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa of immunity from prosecution over allegations of involvement in torturing protesters. Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, born in May 1987, is the eldest son of the King of Bahrain, Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, and his second wife. He was educated in Bahrain before commissioning from the Royal Sandhurst Military Academy in August 2006. Nasser currently serves as commander of Bahrain's Royal Guard and as president of the Bahrain Olympic Committee. The London-based court announced the annulment of a previous ruling by the Crown Prosecution Service that gave the Bahraini prince the special privilege. The case against Prince Nasser was launched in British courts in 2012.
He committed many crimes against the Bahraini people, and especially the prisoners who are the leaders of the Bahraini, like Hamad Al and Al Mahrous. They've been tortured by him.
The prince was initially given immunity under the State Immunity Act 1978 as a member of the Bahraini royal family. After a review of that decision, the CPS decided in September 2012 that since Prince Nasser's household was separate from that of the King of Bahrain, he would not enjoy immunity from his royal status, but that he kept functional immunity as commander of the Royal Guard of Bahrain. By the way, not much long time was needed to prove that the British High Court ruling is nothing but a British establishment ridiculous circus. Only 2 days after the court's decision was announced, the torturer Prince travelled to London to visit a Royal British Navy transport dock and appeared at the 2014 British Invention Show. Human rights activists say Nasser Al Khalifa has been provided with a covert guarantee of immunity by the British government before he travels to London. To add insult to injury, London police detained a Bahraini activist for protesting against his trip. Video footage, leaked into social media, showed the activist was taken into custody simply for protesting outside a hotel where Nasser bin Hamad was residing.
Are you telling me I can't do that? I'm searching you under Section 43 of the Terrorism Act, okay?
You can't touch me like this.
Are you telling me that?
Yes, I can't. I told you that.
Really?
Yes, I told you that.
Relax.
Okay, you relax. You can. Don't touch me like this, yeah? Don't touch me like this.
I'm going to search you under Section 43 of the Terrorism Act.
Okay.
You may have something on you that you may use.
Okay, what I use?
An offensive weapon.
What?
Almost all Bahraini human rights activists now believe that the British government is now acting as Bahrain's political policeman. According to Bahraini exiles living in London, most of whom have fled persecution in their homeland, claim the British government is giving them a hard time for it. Suspicions were first raised earlier this year, when two fleeing activists were detained and nearly deported back by suspiciously overzealous UK BA officials at Heathrow Airport. Both had strong asylum cases, but the seeming prejudice against them may well point to a wider pattern of discrimination. Upon arrival at Heathrow in February, the prominent blogger and his travelling companion, who is the chairman of the prominent rights group, the European Bahraini Organisation for Human Rights, were taken aside by UK BA officials. They were taken to separate detention centres outside London and found themselves in a medium security prison, operated by UK BA, for detaining and deporting illegal immigrants. It quickly emerged that the pair had been placed on a special program called DFT, Detained Fast Track, a process designed for uncomplicated cases where the applicant clearly has no right to asylum and needs to be returned as soon as possible.
The government, they arrested me because of, and they charged me with a charge as insulting the king. And I don't know why. Until now I'm facing a trial. I documented many cases in the jail, and there is very horrible cases like torture, and I was there. I saw so many tortures people, and they was beaten very hardly, and they are facing ill treatment also.
They were denied legal aid and had their case labelled all but hopeless, despite the fact they knew they had strong grounds for asylum and would face likely persecution, incarceration, and the threat of torture upon their return. As it is, they were released a few days later and are currently proceeding forward with their applications. It is believed that the UK BA detention was politically motivated, and that the Bahraini community is being systematically targeted by, they suspect, the British government acting on behalf of the Bahrainis. In May, more evidence emerged that the British could be doing the bidding of the Bahrainis, and that what had happened to mentioned activists may well be routine. Meanwhile, Privacy International has made a criminal complaint to the National Cyber Crime Unit of the National Crime Agency, urging the immediate investigation of the unlawful surveillance of Bahraini activists living in the UK by Bahraini authorities using the intrusive malware Finfisher supplied by British company Gamma.
I'm talking about a very serious development that our computers have been hacked. How much damage they did to us, to our reputation, how much information they got.
I'm so upset about that, and I don't feel safe here in UK because
must be safe in UK because there's a human rights and they called for a human rights, but I didn't feel here safe.
I hope that that officers of Gamma International, that members of the board will be brought to account for having sold this technology and provided active technical assistance to Bahrain to assist Bahrain in repressing human rights activists who had to flee Bahrain and seek refuge here in the UK.
While it's long been known that Gamma has provided surveillance capabilities to Bahrain, the extent of Gamma's complicity in Bahrain's unlawful surveillance of individuals located abroad has only recently been confirmed. In August, a number of internal Gamma documents were published revealing that Gamma is both aware of and actively facilitating the Bahraini regime's surveillance of targets located outside Bahrain through the provision of intrusion technology called Finfisher to the Bahraini authorities.
They not only violated our privacy, but they actually violated international law, where they crossed the Bahraini borders. It's not only in Bahrain, used a network of a communication company to access an email of an individual. In that act, they have violated scores of international.
Finfisher was developed and produced by the British company Gamma International. Promotional material for Finfisher shows that it allows its user full access to a target's infected device and everything contained within it, even enabling them to turn on functions such as cameras and microphones. Reports from the Citizen Lab suggest that Finfisher command and control servers have been found in 35 countries, including Ethiopia, Turkmenistan, Bahrain, and Malaysia.
We are very disappointed with the British government policy towards our struggle and towards Bahrain. Although we have a lot of things in common with the British people. We believe in democracy, we believe in justice, we believe in freedom, we believe in the peaceful struggle, the same struggle you have gone through to achieve your freedom. But unfortunately, UK government choose to side with the dictators rather than standing with us.
We have a clear message to the British authorities that please stand by with the people of Bahrain, not with this regime. Being a victim of this regime, I've been tortured, been imprisoned, and my nationality has been stripped by this regime. We have a duty to show the world, the international community, what's going on in Bahrain, a real condition, not the fake that the regime want to promote.
Yeah, I mean, there is a great double standard globally on human rights issues. You look at something like the International Criminal Court, which has been set up to punish perpetrators of crimes against humanity, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, genocide, yet you don't see these kinds of organs being used fairly. And I think how they get away with this is power. It gets down to the dynamic of power.
United States and United Kingdom is not only supplying weapons and supplying security know-how to the government of Al Khalifa and the regime of Al Khalifa, but they are providing them with the political coverage everywhere, and they are stopping the Bahraini people to put any kind of cases in, for instance, the International Court or in Geneva. Today, Bahrain regime is standing and still continuing this killing machine because he is enjoying the support from particularly United States and United Kingdom.
She managed to watch the show and she phoned us and she said, my husband got arrested yesterday, and when the troops came to my house, they broke the door, they completely destroyed all the house, and she said, you know, all of them had their faces covered. And she said, the Saudi troops physically and sexually assaulted me. And she said they said like all these dirty words which I don't even want to mention.
بدون ما طلعت بس صوتك ينسمع انك ما ترضى على بناتك ينهانون، ما ترضى على ابناء بنتك يلمسها رجال، هذا شرف، انت ترضى على شرف؟ شرطة بخدمة الشعب، مو شرطة تقتلون الشعب.
ما نبغى الليل، ما ننام الليل، أولادنا ما تنام، أطفالنا ما تنام، ليش؟ ليش؟ ليش هالعذاب؟
يقول لي كلمات كلش حقيرة وبذيئة، يعني حتى حركات ما أقدر أقولها شلون يسوي لي هو، يعني نفسه يسوي لي، يجي لي في وجهي يسوي لي، يعني يجيب أعضاء تناسلية في وجهي.
كانوا يسوون حركات ويانا يقولوا لي احنا كلمات يعني الواحد يستحي يقولها.
It was a lot of slaps on the face, and they beat me with a hose, with a big hose on the arms and legs. They kicked me on my back. A lot of beating, mostly slaps on the face, and they covered our eyes, all of us, and they let us to run and hit the wall, and let us do things that not like dance or other things. And they were humiliating us with verbally, with a lot of improper words.
The UK is poised to quietly ratify a defence treaty that critics say will see it become more dependent on US expertise for its multi-billion-pound Trident nuclear weapons programme, without the agreement being scrutinised by MPs.
British governments usually choose to describe the Trident nuclear weapons system as an independent nuclear deterrent. This fanciful description has a lot wrong with it, particularly the notion that Trident is a deterrent. It is not. It is an apocalyptic weapon of mass destruction. Also, Trident is not independent. The British WMD programme also lacks public approval. When a majority of the population wants to see the nuclear weapons scrapped, the coalition government is taking steps to ensure that Britain has even greater nuclear collaboration with the United States. The opportunity seized on by the government is the 10-year renewal of the US-UK Mutual Defence Agreement, the world's most extensive nuclear sharing agreement, originally signed by the two countries in 1958. The possession of nuclear weapons is often justified in terms of uncertainty about the future. However, developments at home and abroad may one day make the UK's Trident weapons system politically and legally impossible. Over the years, governments have defended plans to replace the aging Trident weapons system by reference to unspecified future threats.
We see, a number of dangers and uncertainties with nuclear states in our world. Do we really want Britain to give up nuclear weapons, to give up that ultimate insurance policy? I don't believe we do. And we have here a deterrent that is credible, that works, and we should keep it and we should renew it.
Despite these appeals to vagueness, the continuation and replacement of Trident is likely to face challenge on at least two fronts. Firstly, Scotland does not seem to like nuclear weapons. The latest British Social Attitudes report shows at least the balance of opinion in Scotland is opposed to UK nukes. Plans to replace Trident, which assume its basing as a facility on the estuary of the River Clyde, will continue to be politically contentious in Scotland, and may be impossible to accomplish in the event of another independence referendum in, say, 10 to 20 years. Secondly, many non-weapon states are impatient with our phallic exhibitionism. Recently, over 155 states released a statement expressing their deep concern about the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons. now the UK is poised to quietly ratify a defence treaty without parliamentary scrutiny. Cameron's cabinet initially promised a 3-month consultation period prior to a vote in Parliament about Britain's WMDs, but later announced that it will make its decision before the consultation and votes take place. Britain's decision to renew nuclear weapons will have serious consequences across the world and could be seen as a long step towards the further breach of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The renewal, replacement, upgrading and sub-strategic use of Trident are inconsistent with Article 6 of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or the NPT, the UN Charter and international humanitarian law. Since 1970, Britain has been a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The NPT combines a commitment by the nuclear weapons states to disarm and a commitment by countries without them not to pursue them. The UK, by illegally breaching the NPT and international law and continuing to develop new weapons, provides a powerful incentive for non-nuclear countries to acquire similar weapons technology. Recent developments in North Korea show that many states feel that they can only avoid being bullied by the nuclear powers if they possess nuclear capability themselves. The proliferation of nuclear weapons by Britain is not restricted to its own programs. According to evidence, Britain played a pivotal role in Israel betting the bomb. Documents uncovered in the British National Archives show how in 1958, Britain agreed to sell Israel 20 tons of heavy water, a vital ingredient for the production of plutonium, and quantities of plutonium at Israel's top-secret Dimona nuclear reactor in the Negev desert. The sale was made despite a warning from British intelligence that it might make a material contribution to an Israeli weapons program. This brings us back to Britain's hypocritical approach towards the proliferation of nuclear weapons.
Has extremely dangerous technologies in terms of nuclear and its weapons. It has a new and relatively unknown leader, and obviously the noises it's been making in recent weeks and months are worrying and threatening. What matters is that North Korea should abide by all the United Nations resolutions which have been laid down. We do need to make sure that this whole situation, that the heat is taken out of it. But it is principally North Korea, in fact almost entirely North Korea, that is able to do that and ought to do that. But I think it's a good moment to stand back and ask ourselves about the dangers there are in the world and the need to maintain strong defences.
While London preaches or threatens other nations against any move towards acquiring nuclear weapons, even dual-purpose technologies, which could possibly be used in a proliferative process, it both nationally and internationally has a dark history of acquiring and spreading of nuclear weapons of mass destruction.
Well, that's enough for one day. So keep in touch with us, whatever you do. Our Facebook page is named UK Desk Press TV. And you can also email us at britain@presstv.ir. Your ideas and opinions are a priority for us, because you've been watching the Monarchy, and the Monarchy has been watching Britain. See you next week, God willing. Ciao.
Someone, my lord, your time has come right between the eyes. Felled his master not by chance, away with pomp and circumstance. Come join our merry dance to the rhythm of goodbye. Farewell the jewel crown, farewell the velvet gown. Watch you all come tumbling down. Goodbye to the crown. Goodbye to the crown. Goodbye to the king of nothing really. Wave of a hand. Of Riley, Pot Nazi, Pot King Billy, goodbye to the crown.